So we go to 91 Night of Champions. You came back. You didn't do the Olympia that year. You won that, and it was a bit of a turning point for both of us, because at that contest, I think we'd have offered you a contract, and they approached me to come and work in California. So we, independently, it wasn't a package.
Because I told Joe I'd only sign with Weider if they hired you at the same time.
And that's why you took...
At the time, you thought it was down to your writing skills, but actually it was blackmail.
So that's why I've been giving you 10% of my earnings for the last 20 years.
That's it.
So there we go, 91, you decided to do the Olympia. Now, we had a newspaper at the time, Pumping Press, which used to get reports out 8 to 10 days afterwards. And I don't think I've told you this, I don't think I did you any favours, because Lee Haney told me after the Olympia that normally American magazines wouldn't get, the Night of Champions was May, they wouldn't see the pictures till August. He saw these 10 days after the contest, pictures of you, and he said, here's a guy who's on a par with me, I need to be in shape for this contest.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lee was that was definitely the best shape he'd ever been in, and of course, you know, his motivation. If you got somebody snapping at the heels, I was the new guy. He could see that, you know, Lee previously dominated just because, you know, he had a great physique, but primarily because he was just much bigger than everybody else and overpowered them. And now he's got a guy the same height, pretty much the same weight, that can match him on those strengths. So that motivated him to be in his best shape, and that's what it's all about, you know, trying to move things forward and for people to get better. So yeah, great. He was in great shape, and you know, it was close. It's funny because Lee was Mr. Olympia pretty much when I started training, so I had to change my whole mental outlook towards this guy who was Mr. Olympia when I started training, to be, hey, you're competing against this guy now. But by the time I was competing against him, I had enough confidence in myself to say, look, I actually sincerely believe nobody puts more into this sport than I do, dedication. Nobody trains harder than me, so why not? Somebody's got to beat the guy, and I went to that contest believing that I could. Not like I'm going to win this contest, but I'm going there to give it a damn good try, and it could happen, you know.
Yeah, I always remember the last call out of the pre-judging was you and him, and that was unusual in those days. It was always three, and that comparison, you both put everything into it, and it took 4.5 minutes to do it, because I timed it, and you actually won that round. He won the symmetry round, you won the muscularity round.
Yeah, so I won the you know, the compulsory poses. So actually now, if the contest was now, the outcome might be different, because the posing round's not scored right now, so the score would have been different. But I was still a rookie, you know, I was still learning. Lee was polished, he'd been there for many years, and he was in his best shape ever, so it was very, very close, and I never, you know, I never did complain about that or contest it. I think it was a pretty fair result. Of course, Lee got 8 then. There's really no reason for him to carry on, especially with somebody snapping at his heels. He'd peaked at his absolute best, where I was still coming up. So I'm confident if he came back the next year, I would have beaten him. But I don't blame him for not doing that. I probably would have done the same thing.
I mean, you said to me after the pre-judging, you thought you were second, and you were fine with it. Like you said, you never bitched about it. You took that for. I mean, second in your first Olympia is some.
I think was the first person to place, actually second on the debut, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it was a great result. I was not really disappointed, because it was the first try, and Lee Haney, you know, is a 7-time champion already. So, and it was close. I beat him in 1 round, and I knew that I was going to improve. So it only boded well for the future.
So going to 92, the title is open. You were the favourite. Vince Taylor was talked about as the other guy, because he was third in the Olympia. Was it the night before the show? You were in a mood I'd never seen you before.
It was a bit strange, a bit difficult, because I was used to being, you know, I kind of thrived on being the underdog. I think everybody in England telling me, oh, you can't be a pro bodybuilder, you can't beat the Americans, and then, you know, all against Lee Haney is this huge icon in the sport, 7 times Mr. Olympia, going up against this guy, and I'm the underdog. So I thrived on that energy, you know. And now it's Lee Haney's not there. There was no target. There was nobody to aim for. So it was a little bit different. Yeah, there was a period just coming into the contest where I find it a little bit hard to focus, but it didn't change what I was doing. It didn't affect my training or diet or anything. It was just mentally it was a bit hard to focus. Of course, I wanted to beat Vince Taylor a lot because I really didn't like that guy. So it's unfortunate that he hurt his eye on the coach there, and that threw off his whole conditioning because he was talking a lot all year. So I was glad to beat him and glad to beat Sean, and Kevin was unexpected. Kevin came out of nowhere in second place. So yeah, it was great, but it was a little bit. It was a different experience. I guess I was the guy who was favourite. That was the first time that happened, but I got used to that pretty quick.
And I mean, you came in maybe a bit leaner than you could have done for that, and you were like, what, 240 or 242?
I think it was about 242 at that contest, but I knew Lee wouldn't be there. So who was my competition? I didn't really see Kevin because I think Kevin came from the Night of Champions, so he wasn't really on the radar. So the guys were Sean Ray and Vince Taylor. That they were probably my main competition, and maybe Lee Labrada. So obviously I'm easily much bigger than them. So I thought, let me go for condition because I'm going to be the big guy, but I want to match the little lightweight guys on condition as well, and that kind of combination. So that's what I brought to the stage. But it was below. It's still a learning process. Don't forget, even though I'm Mr. Olympia, how many contest preparation phases had I gone through? Probably about 5 or 6. So each time you're learning more about your body, So that's why the huge improvement between 92 to 93, the great mystery that, it was just, I didn't starve myself and cannibalize my muscle in the last 4 weeks, really.
Well, I mean, we go forward to 93, and I came back to England 7 weeks before the Olympia, and Kevin Horton took those famous shots with the socks and everything, and that, I told you, you can walk on with the socks on, not tanned, and you'll walk this. I've never seen anything like it.
There's a funny story about those pictures that became so iconic almost, because we had some pictures the previous year in the gym. They weren't actually taken before the contest, they were taken after the contest, I think about 1 or 2 weeks after the contest, so I wasn't quite in contest shape a little bit. I put a few pounds on. But Kevin had took these pictures